She booted a snay. Peace and love and happiness to ya. Now this show is gonna be far out, man. My name is Jarrett James Nickel, and we're gonna be doing something that's gonna be totally groovy, baby. We're gonna be interviewing somebody from the distant future, man, from the year 2026. And this is gonna be so far out because in the year 2026, these blokes got robot made, flying cars, colonies on the moon, man, teleporters, affordable health care. What else is to say? And there's no war, nothing but peace and love in this time. And they don't spend their whole days looking at lamps. I mean, this is ridiculous. I can't believe it's 1967 and we spend hours a day looking at lava lamps. Like, it's just wax melting. When it gets hot, it moves up. When it's cold, it moves down. And everyone in the 60s, we just spent hours a day staring at a lamp. It doesn't do us anything, but it's so addictive, man. Well, welcome to my show, Marvellous Magic. Susan, bring on the guest. How's it going? I'm a huge fan of your show, and I'm so glad I finally get to be on your show. Peace and love and happiness to you, brother. So what's your name and where are you from? Well, my name is Rio. I live here in Alberta. I travel the world, so I'm always somewhere new, and I am your biggest fan. And this right here is your second biggest fan. And I understand you wanted to talk about a neurological disorder you have? Well, I have Tourette syndrome. It makes me do weird little tics or make little sounds. And Tourette syndrome affects people so many different ways, but it's also part of me and part of who I am. And I have this saying, I might have Tourette syndrome, but Tourette syndrome doesn't have me. And what does your hoodie say? Well, on the front it says, I might have Tourette syndrome, but Tourette syndrome doesn't have me. And can you turn around? You know, I think it would be easier for both of us if I just took my hoodie off and showed you. Let me read that. Tourette syndrome isn't a disability, it's a different ability. I think that's groovy of you. And you know, here in 1967, we have a saying. I've never met a strong person with an easy past. And you know, this is like the most far out interview since David Letterman had the Beatles on his show. So can you tell me what it's like having Tourette syndrome? Like, when did you know you have it? So I remember when I was a little kid, I would watch shows about people with a very high levels of Tourette syndrome, and they were doing crazy things. A few years later, when I was 13, just hitting puberty, I start making weird sounds and I couldn't control myself. And I couldn't figure out why I was doing it. Like, am I possessed by the devil or something? And it's just so crazy because I know other people with Tourette syndrome and their twitches are all different. Like, I know a girl, she goes, I knew another girl, she used to meow. I knew a guy, he would growl. And I know some people where it's scary and kind of sad where they have it. But for me, I like to view Tourette syndrome as our superpowers. And when I ask, what is your tic? It feels like I'm saying, what is your superpower almost? And have you ever faced any discrimination of having Tourette syndrome? You know, most of it is misunderstanding. Like, I know a lot of people, they ask when I'm doing this, and they ask, why did you do that? And I say I have Tourette syndrome. And they're like, that neurological thing. That happened to me once in the Bahamas. I remember I was doing this in Japan, and a guy asked me why I did it, and he actually had Tourette syndrome as well, but his Tourette's made him go, ugh. And I remember hearing some people on the train talking, and I heard one guy saying it might be Tourette syndrome, but he's not swearing. And I took my headphones off, and I'm like, I have Tourette syndrome. I assume you're talking about me. And usually I like to try and make a joke of things because I like to fight fire or anger with kindness. There's only been one time ever when one very rude man was yelling at me, telling me to get out because I had Tourette syndrome. And it's like, I told him I had Tourette syndrome and I couldn't control myself. So most of the discrimination has been very small. There's only been one time in my entire life I've ever faced real discrimination. Oh man, that kind of sucks, bro. That's a bummer. Have you ever had any positive experiences? You know, that's interesting you say it, because it's actually a great conversation starter. I made a lot of my friends because they're asking about my tics or why I'm twitching, and it's a great way to start conversation, a great icebreaker. And I do a lot of stand-up comedy, and I feel like if you don't laugh at yourself, I will. And one of my jokes is, I go on stage and I'm like, I know what you're all thinking. What drugs am I on? Realistically, I'm not taking my meds. You know what the hardest part with Tourette syndrome is? When you walk into a store, you're twitching, making sounds, and the lady's like, hello, police? That crazy drug addict is here again. But I learned how to cover my Tourette's up. If you just talk with an Italian accent and say, scusi, do you have the screwdriver there? If you're a bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, the Italian accent covers the Tourette syndrome right up. People don't even notice I have Tourette syndrome if I just talk with an Italian accent. I like your take on things, and I think that's groovy of you. And can I ask, why are you always looking at that little flat thing? Huh? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What did you just say? Oh, sorry, I was looking at my lava lamp. I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, this is just far out, man. Now, can I ask, are the Beatles still big in your timeline? Was John Lennon? I bet you anything he was elected president and you guys got world peace. Canada will never experience anything like this Trudeau guy who's running for Prime Minister of Canada, or Nixon. No comment? Oh no, did Trudeau actually live that long? That's weird, man. Can you do me a favor and just read that piece of paper over there? Sure, why certainly. This piece of paper over here. Marvellous Magic will be back after these messages.
This is why you need The Boy Who Fell from the Stars in your life now. Imagine a world so vividly crafted you'll feel like you're living in its pages. Intrigued yet? The Boy Who Fell from the Stars by Rio Aiello is not just a book, it's an experience. Dive into a universe where imagination knows no bounds and every page turns into a new adventure. Follow the incredible story of a young boy who tumbles from the cosmos into a realm full of wonder, danger, and magic. Originality? Check. Unforgettable characters? double check. This isn't just another fantasy novel, it's a masterpiece that redefines the genre. Whether you're a seasoned fantasy lover or new to the genre, this book is a must-read. So why wait? Grab your copy of The Boy Who Fell from the Stars today and get ready to be spellbound. What I wish I knew at 15 instead of 25 is the magic hidden within a book called The Boy Who Fell from the Stars. The Boy Who Fell from the Stars by Rio Aiello isn't just a book, it's an experience. Picture this, a young boy plummeting from the cosmos to Earth, bringing a whirlwind of magic and wonder with him. This story isn't like anything you've read before. It's 100% original. As you turn each page, the magic leaps out, drawing you deeper into a world where the impossible becomes possible. You'll fall in love with the characters. They're so vivid and real, they might just jump off the page and into your heart, whether you're a seasoned fantasy aficionado or new to the genre. This tale will captivate and intrigue you. It's not just a story. It's a magical journey that will touch your soul. So, why wait? Dive into The Boy Who Fell from the Stars today, and let the magic sweep you away.
Now, I notice you talk about these burger things. Now, we have burgers here, but we have different lingo for them. Like, when I would say I want a burger, I would say, get me a quarter pounder, drag it through a garden, let it drown, squirm, burn it, and make it cry. Do you guys really do that? That actually sounds pretty cool, but what does that even mean? Because in this time, that lingo's kind of dead. You're telling me that lingo's dead then? Alright, drag it through a garden is what we say in the 60s for add vegetables. Burn it means cook it like over easy. Make it cry is add onions. Drown it is fill it with sauce. God, how do you guys order burgers? I like a mama burger, a papa burger, an uncle burger. Some places you order a Big Mac. That is far out, man. Wow, I can't believe the future is gonna be so awesome, man.